Hello everyone. So this video is just to talk a little bit about what a VM is, what Vagrant is, and why we have to use these things in CS 128. So first off, why do we even need a virtual machine at all? Why can't you just use your own machine to compile your code throughout this class? Well, on a computer, all programs need to get converted to assembly instructions and eventually to ones and zeros that the hardware can actually understand. And there's really no way around this, right? Every single program running on your computer is actually getting converted to ones and zeros, to binary instructions that the computer can understand. So the issue with this is that different computers support different assembly instructions. All right. So binary code that runs on my Intel processor might not run on your computer if you're running an AMD processor or like Apple's M1 chip. So this is a pretty big issue for us in this class. Because from the perspective of us as core staff, there's hundreds of you with so many different types of machines, and in order to run your compiled code, we would need the exact same machine as you, which obviously isn't practical. And when we're like helping you guys in office hours and stuff like that, your machine, the command line is going to be a little different. So it's a little hard for us to work with all these different types of machines and operating systems and to debug your code if we're not familiar with the operating system that you have. So to fix all of these issues, we use virtual machines in this class. So a virtual machine, or like a VM as it's called, is just a way of emulating another system from a computer. So your current physical machine has hardware. It has a CPU, a GPU, RAM, etc. And this hardware uses electrical circuits to perform computation. So the idea behind a VM is that we're going to use software to emulate this hardware. So your computer is going to essentially run another computer inside of it. So if we give everybody the same VM, if everybody's computer fakes the same hardware through software, then it makes it much easier for us to grade code throughout this class and for us to help you guys through office hours. So yeah, I'll just go through starting up the virtual machine right now. So I'm going to do Vagrant Up to start up my virtual machine, and we can like run through some examples with that. So one thing to note here is that Vagrant itself isn't the virtual machine. Vagrant is just a command line tool to create a virtual machine and to start it up and to stop it. So that's just an important distinction to make. There's like a billion different ways to start up a virtual machine on your computer, but we're just using Vagrant just because it's pretty simple and easy to use. So now I've got my virtual machine started up. That means there's another computer running within this computer right now. And you can see that if I open up a task manager here, you can see all these processes that say VirtualBox. These are all the processes that are like faking the hardware through software, right? And you can see that it's actually running in the background of my computer. So let's actually connect to that and just see what it looks like. So I'm going to SSH into that. Okay, so now I'm all SSH'd into the virtual machine. And if I run the command hostname ctl, you can actually see that it prints out some information about the operating system and such. And it shows that the operating system is currently Ubuntu with an 8664 architecture. My current machine right now, if I type in system information, is Windows 10 with 64 based architecture. So clearly these machines are very different. This command line, now that I'm SSH'd into the virtual machine, thinks that it's running on Ubuntu. And for all of you guys in this class, when you start up your virtual machine and you SSH into it, if you run this command, you'll see the same exact thing. Everybody's going to be running the same version of Ubuntu with the same architecture, no matter what your host operating system is. So that kind of addresses the issues that we were talking about earlier. So now I can like show some of like the resources on here. If I do ls CPU, you can see that it says like this virtual machine is running one CPU core. And if I do lsmem, you can see that it has 512 megabytes of memory. Again, this is kind of, like everybody's virtual machine is going to have the exact same specifications. If you guys run these same commands, most likely it's going to say one CPU core and 512 megabytes of memory. That's just because, again, that makes it very, very easy for everybody to have like the same exact machine that's pretending to have the same hardware through software. So really quick, just to show that like this isn't really magic to you guys, I'm gonna go ahead and open up my CS128env folder, and let me show the Vagrant file really quick. So this kind of shows Vagrant what to do when you start up your virtual machine. And some key parameters you can see here are the memory and the CPUs, right? So we can honestly just change how much memory our computer has by changing this to 1 gigabyte and then rerunning the virtual machine. Then it would start it with 1 gigabyte. So you can see that the hardware really is dictated by software. It's not actually like hardware for this machine. But I'm going to change this back to 512. I wouldn't really recommend changing these settings for this class just so that everybody's running the same thing. But yeah, so I guess now we have this virtual machine running. It's running Ubuntu. It has all of like the default Ubuntu commands that we want your virtual machine to have. So for example, you can see Cling is installed on this. Cling version 10. And if you were to run this on your host computer, chances are you don't have Cling installed, right? Cling command not found. So this is kind of something important to remember throughout the semester, is that whenever you need to run some command line commands, make sure you're doing it through the SSH to terminal. Like make sure you're SSH into your machine before you run any command line commands. Otherwise, it's probably not going to work if you try to do it on your host machine. You have to do it on the virtual machine. Okay, so interacting with these virtual machines can kind of be a pain because we have to SSH in order to get access to all the files in here. But something that's really nice is we have a shared directory set up for these virtual machines. So if I open up File Explorer and go to this virtual machine directory, this source folder is actually shared between the virtual machine and your host computer, right? So normally everything that you do in the virtual machine is completely isolated from your host computer. I could delete the operating system from this command line right here. I could rm.rf everything on the computer, and it wouldn't affect my host computer. It wouldn't break it. It would just break the virtual machine. But we do have a little bit like one shared directory here that makes it easy to access files from your host machine, and that's the source directory. So if I were to make a file within the source directory, I'll just make a file called test.txt that says hello world. You can see that I can immediately see that on here for my host machine through test.txt, and I can change this on my host machine by adding some more characters here. And if I look at the Ubuntu machine, the file's changed. So something important to kind of see here is that the machines themselves are completely isolated from each other. They're running different operating systems, but they are running on the same machine. And so we are able to have this shared directory here. So you could edit some code, from your host machine, and you could compile it on your virtual machine here using the cling command. Okay, so yeah, that's just a quick overview of what a VM is and what Vagrant is. So hopefully that cleared up some issues or confusion that you might have. But yeah, if you have any more questions, feel free to just post on the class forum, and we'd be happy to answer your questions.